We're going to be making a logo variation, and this one is going to be a Photoshop collage project. To create this setup, we're going to go to our old original project. You have to basically get rid of anything that has a gradient. A gradient is a fade from one color to another, or from a color to a lighter version of that color. All your colors need to be flat in this case, so for this I have to change it to something else. So once I have my logo, the next thing I have to do is create a background for it, just a background color, and for that I'm going to use my square tool. And then I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, and send that to the back. But if I move anywhere near the blue square that I made, you'll see this little circle, there's a little blue X. I don't want to have any of that. So when I do my screenshot of this to bring it into Photoshop, which is our next step, you want to Command-Shift-4 and have your mouse be way out here. Then when you drag it over everything, it won't make that little X, and your logo is intact and perfect, which is what you want. So I screenshotted that. It's going to end up on my desktop. The next step is to take our screenshot and throw it in Photoshop. And when it opens in Photoshop, you're going to use this tool, which I normally consider to be the most dangerous tool in Photoshop, and I usually tell people to stay away from it. It's called the crop tool. What you're going to do is you're going to crop what you want to keep. So I'm selecting what I want to keep, and I'm going to let the rest go by pressing return. I could shift these if I want to beforehand, but you want a good amount of space around your logo, so it's kind of good that you have a little bit. Press return when you're done with it, and you have a perfect rendition of your logo. So now I have to decide what my theme is going to be. I want to show you some collage projects that I've done in the past. So this isn't a Squirrel Man logo that's designed after the 80s. So I went online and I got a picture of a Rubik's Cube and some 80s style buttons. I got some 80s style sunglasses and wallpaper in the background. That's what these trees are. Actually, I made that by just getting the tree and dumping the color in there. Then I got Miss Pac-Man because she's an 80s icon. I really want you to stay away from copywritten stuff for this project since it is a school-related project. We don't own anything like Miss Pac-Man. But you can get other stuff that is about your theme. So cassette tapes and the stereo and the checkerboard, those are all themes of the 80s. So that's what I did for this one. My next one is steampunk. About all these things were each separate, this pipe and this thing and this metal piece here and the cogs in the background. Those are all separate things that I got off the internet. You want to collect at least 10 pictures to put into your collage logo variation. Here's another one where I collected these blue things, but most of this, I call this white robot because most of it is like clean, current, modern robot parts. So that's what I use to recreate my logo. Basically, the next step is to go to the internet and start picking out what your theme is going to be and then collecting a bunch of pictures within that theme. So for example, I'm going to pick computers and arts for this version of my logo. So I typed in computer chip because that's a detail that I want to include, and I'm looking through these. I want to find one that obviously doesn't have watermarks, and then when I find something that I'm happy with, and it can't be art, by the way, it's still got to be like a photograph, is you want to move them directly from Google into your page. It doesn't matter what size they are or what they're covering for now, so just throw them in there. Also, if you want to get the big pictures, so click your pictures, that'll make them nice and big and clear, assuming that they're good quality, so that'll help. And also, if a transformation box is open, it won't let you bring in another picture. So make sure that when you have a transformation box open, you press return before you go into Chrome to get your next picture. So just as a review, I brought in this picture and it's way too big. So I'm going to press Command T and then Command 0 so I could see how big it is. If I want to keep it in proportion, I'm holding Shift. Again, I'm just like putting all my pictures on my page, so I'll see you in a little bit. So as you can see, I have the bare minimum here. I have my 9 layers plus my background equals 10. But I also know that I'm probably going to get more at the end. This is just to get me started. The first thing I'm going to do is remove all the layers that I'm not currently working with just by shutting off the little eyeballs. Obviously, I can get them back later. Then I'm going to go to my first layer, and I already know what I want to do with this object. I want to use it for this shape here, which is my oval in the background behind the flames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch this to the size that I need with Command T, place it about where I want it to be, I think. And by the way, there's an easy way to be able to see a little bit better. I can turn the opacity of that layer down so I could see what it's going to look like. Cool, I'm already happy with that. So I'm going to use my magic wand tool, which you can expose by going to your quick selection tool, if that's what's here right now, if that's what you see right now, that is, and then selecting the magic wand. Then you go onto your background layer and you select the space that you want to work with. So let's say I decide to do it to the purple area, which is in different areas. To select multiple areas of the same color, you hold down Shift and you just move around and look for those areas so that you can grab them by clicking them while you're holding Shift. So unfortunately, this is kind of the long way to do it. However, I want to deal with all my purple right now. So one thing that I can do, contiguous check, which means that contiguous means that it's basically going to get all the purple until it hits another color. But if I have that contiguous unchecked, it'll collect all the purple in the whole assignment. So that's what I want to do in this case. So this is an easier way to do it, is to deal with that. The unfortunate thing is you're going to want to remember to check that back when you're done with this step. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my computer chip layer and press Command C and Command V and make sure that when I do it, I'm on that layer. So Command C, Command V, and now I have it again on its own layer. Now I like the look of that a lot, so I'm going to keep that the way it is. Now my next step is just deciding what I'm going to do with the flames, which is why I chose this. I'm going to Command U this to change the color because I don't want it to be the same as the background. That should work. That's pretty nice. Now I'm going to make it the size again, and I'm basically going through the same steps in this case. I purposely kept my contiguous unchecked so that when I go to this layer, and I'm going to turn this off for a sec, and I select the yellow, it selects all the yellow in my piece. Then I could re-put this layer up and select it to Command C, Command V, and I should have some nice blue looking flames when I now remove this layer. They look pretty cool. One thing that I could say though is I feel like with a little bit of contrast they'd look a lot better. So I can either change the color of them again by pressing Command U and working with them to see if I find something I like better. And I don't like anything better than the blue, so I'm going to cancel that. Or I could double click here, just like way back in ZooScience when we learned that we can add a stroke to something to make it stand out more. And I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to press OK. Now if I wanted to change the aspects of the stroke, like the color of the outline or the size, I could do that here. The next thing that I'm going to do is bring in some of my art supplies, and you can see that they have a white background. So I can go over to my magic wand, and I'm purposely not, I'm going to make the mistake just so you can see what would happen. So now when I click the white, it's getting all the white in the whole piece. So I want to make sure to have that not, I normally want to have that checked. So now I can select hopefully just the white, and actually it's still grabbing a little bit because there's white here that it's using kind of as a bridge. So I'm going to use one of my lasso tools. Now there's more. You could use the polygon lasso if you prefer. I like the regular lasso or the polygon lasso. I guess I'll use polygon for this. And I want to take away from my selection because this area is selected and I don't want it to be. I'm going to hold down my Alt button and click my shape out, just like almost like I'm using the pen tool. I'm making like a little shape here. And then double clicking when I'm done and it'll select that whole area. So this area I want to add to my selection, so I'm holding down the Shift button, which will put a plus next to my magic wand, and hopefully I'll be able to select all these little colors in here that I don't want. Command Z if you get something that, if you accidentally select something that you didn't want to select. Once you have whatever it is that you wanted to remove selected, you can just press delete. I'm going to do that to a couple more layers, exposing them as I go and figuring out what I'm going to do with that layer. If you're having trouble with your magic wand, don't forget you can always go to your eraser tool and you could change its size. You want to probably keep its hardness high for this project. You could change its size up there and get rid of any little bad craftsmanship areas that you might see. I want this mouse to look like that it's coming from behind the logo, so I'm just going to erase the edge of it. It's kind of like a trick to make it look like it's going behind there. Alright, so I've come to a point where I want something else to be my background. So I've got this picture from the internet, and I think it'd be a cool background to imply computers. But right now, I have my background being all this blue space. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to double click to get rid of this lock here and press OK. That makes it layer 0 instead of a background, which means now I can put things behind it. Now the next problem is that I can't, and it's showing, but we can't see it because all this blue stuff is in the way. So I'm going to go to that layer and select all my blue stuff, lose that, and then press delete. Command D to deselect. Alright, so now I have a good start to where my project is going. I have a few more things to do and I'll be back with you shortly. Oh, it'll also help you if you have your auto select selected on your move tool. So make sure that you have this checked, because once you have a lot of layers, you'll see if you watch my layer column right now, it's going automatically to the layers that I touch. That makes this a lot easier. Okay, so I want to do something special with this little pixel over here. I haven't really decided what yet, but I know I want to start. I know I'm going to end up duplicating it a lot. I want them all over the place. So the first thing I'm going to do is do some special effects on it by going to my layer styles. And I'm going to add a drop shadow so it looks a little bit 3D. And I'm going to check some of the other things to see if I like that too. That looks pretty cool. I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to press OK. And now I'm going to hold down my Alt button and duplicate it all over my page so it's like there's pixels everywhere. I'm also going to use my knowledge of layer styles on the layer that has my logo. The only thing I didn't change, by the way, is the black and white outline. All the other parts of it are things that I changed, like the texture of at least. So just so you know, you should be doing the same thing. You could leave black and white if you want, but you should be working with all other elements. And don't forget the rule of having at least 10 pictures. Just to add a little depth to my picture, I'm going to some of the layers, the things that appear like higher, like this paint and this and probably this compass here. And I'm just giving them quick drop shadows by double-clicking the empty space in the layer, clicking the word drop shadow, changing the distance a little bit, and maybe sometimes the spread in size, just to give it a little bit of depth. So if I press Command, Alt, Shift, and G, what happens is it kind of takes like a screenshot but better quality and puts that above everything else. So I have, actually if I shut this off you can't even tell, but I basically have an extra version here. I'll move it for you so you can see what I did. I basically took a picture of my screen and it's at the very top layer. I'm then going to go down here because I got a computer screen that I want to incorporate into my picture and I haven't done that yet. I'm bringing it way back up to the top. I'm going to use my magic wand and get rid of the background. I'm also going to Command D to get rid of that selection and Command T to make it a bit larger. I want to bring this layer above. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and put my little name on it. And I'm never going to leave my text default because it's too super boring. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call this project done. I hope you enjoyed this assignment. Actually, I'm going to do one more thing, which is throw on a little filter here, just because I like that idea. I'm going to go on to my top layer, go to my filter, and I'm going to give myself a little lens flare here. You guys will love this. I'm going to put it somewhere where it looks nice and shiny, maybe like right here. Press OK, and bam. All right, that's the end of this project. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, Titans. Feel free to leave feedback.